There we go. Hey Grace, can you hear me? Let's see. Let's view that. Go. All right. Hey Scott, thanks for joining.
There you go.
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you too.
Success. All right.
Oh, here we
Well,
are.
welcome. Let's do this.
Okay.
All right. I am interviewing my friend Grace here. Um, Welcome everybody. All right.
Hi.
How's your day been?
It's going good. I finished a painting today, and my partner, Sergey, and I, who you know, just got back from a bike ride, and it's actually really sunny in Seattle. So we're happy.
Get out there while you can. Yeah, get that sun.
Yeah.
Jackie and I went down to
Yeah.
the beach, but it was so crowded. We couldn't go on the beach. We were like, is it open? Is it not open? But there were too many people out there, so we
Yeah.
just enjoyed a drive. We came back
That's a
home.
good idea. Yeah, that's really good. I feel
Yeah.
like when I've been in my car during this is like the time that I feel the most free driving around and pretending that everything's normal.
I know, just to get out a little bit.
Hmm.
Well, I want to talk about the painting you just finished in a little bit, but also let me just briefly introduce you to some of our people watching, all
For
four of them.
people,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
met Grace at in Seattle when I was at the Atelier, Julia Aristid's Atelier. She was basically my mentor. She showed me the ropes, so to speak, and she's an amazing artist that I wanted to have a podcast with, but I'm not doing that. I'm just going live with her on Instagram. So welcome everybody, and can you tell a little bit about yourself to everybody?
Sure.
Yeah,
This is so exciting. Let's
I know
see.
this is fun.
I'm a painter and I'm an oil painter. I live in Seattle and I've been here for 10 years, which is a while, but my artwork is mostly realistic painting. So I'm trained in the classical tradition, which is like classical realism. Um, but my paintings are not classical, it's contemporary subjects like people and still life. And I've been getting commissioned to do some landscape painting, which has been interesting. So I kind of paint whatever, but painting, I think someone said painting stuff to look like stuff. That's what I do.
Right on.
Yeah.
And you do so much more than that too. I mean, that for for those of you that don't know, Grace has been just a poet with her artwork. She's got a lot of meaning behind it, and you could see more of her artwork on her Instagram. So be sure to follow her. Where else can they see some of your artwork?
On my website, so my full name, Grace Athena Flott, and maybe I'll just like type that in the comments because we can do that.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
know. This
really
is
cool
fun.
on live. I'm typing.
I think you could even put like links
Oh,
somehow.
that'll be awesome.
I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to, I don't know.
I don't know if I'm that tech savvy.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah. Grace Athena Flott. I've been a big fan of your middle
That's
name.
my name.
I know, I know. So check out our artwork if you guys haven't. You will be impressed. Um, let's see. How would you describe your artwork other than painting things to look like things?
I am really interested in, I guess I'm interested in a lot of things, but the artwork that I've made so far, the most meaningful project has been the project that I made that was autobiographical, and it was about my own experience as a burn survivor. So I'm pretty interested in using painting to talk about um, identity and different identities, I guess, that you don't typically associate with fine art. with the canon of Western European painting. So, so yeah, I'm really into using painting, I think, as storytelling. And that project in particular was really meaningful for me because it was the first time since being trained in classical painting that I was able to just like put a little piece of who I am into paint. And yeah, so people can see the images online, but I did a self-portrait painting, me with my burn scars, and that was really important to me to show that, um, and to create some visibility for people who have scars. Um, yeah, so I really care about, yeah, representing, I think, stories that I feel like need to be told. And I am really interested in the body and showing the body, right? Because I'm a figurative painter.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a lot of subtle language in poses. You know, some of it needs to be taught, even. So with your narrative paintings, are you going to do more that kind of explore where you're at now? Because that series was kind of like your past, like what happened to
Mm-hmm.
you. Do you
Mm-hmm.
envision going forward with that?
I do think I'll go forward with it, and I think it's like, yeah, it's just part of a much bigger conversation. And I do want to expand on it. One of the paintings that I'm working on right now, that's like 75% hopefully done,
You just said
is
you
a
finished it.
painting.
Is it?
Well,
Oh,
I finished a commission today.
oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I wish.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
But the painting that I am working on is of another friend of mine who also has burn scars. And so any continuation of that project, yeah, they're also never done. Albukimi.
Allison. Yeah. Allison. Allison
um,
and I went to art school together. She's an amazing
Allison,
artist too,
that's
and
awesome.
children's book illustrator and mother. So
That's
anyway, little thanks for
that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm interested in turning the focus towards what I see as more of my community in that area. So, but at the same time, like it's always autobiographical. Like every single painting, is like about us as artists, and so I think
Yeah.
there's a lot more to say around all those things around the body, and I think, yeah, I'm just inspired by a lot of different sources.
What's one of your pet peeves about the art making process?
Oh my god. I don't know. I don't know. Like,
Oh,
you mean
come
what
on.
is annoying? What's
You love it all.
annoying?
Yeah, like I hate cleaning my brushes. Like I can't
Oh
stand it.
yeah.
Like if I had an assistant, like any applicants, let me know. Like
Yeah.
I hate cleaning them. Like, I'm just lazy,
I
but I
I
do it.
hate cleaning my brushes. And I really, what do I like really detest? Okay. I hate when I get paint on my clothes, but I also hate when the tubes like break open and explode
Oh,
like everywhere. So, alizarin crimson, um,
yeah.
and cadmium red all over my pants. And I have definitely sat on my palette before. So,
Yes, I told you I did that yesterday. I sat on my palette.
yeah.
Oh man,
So Kiss
that
Off,
was.
yeah,
Sorry, I
Kiss
was like
Off was
trying to
my
type your
favorite.
website in there for somebody who asked where they could see more of your artwork. But yeah, like getting paint on you, it's almost like paint, like a badge. Like I don't know. I text Juliet that I sat in my palette and she was like, "You're in good company." So I'm like, "All right, cool."
Yeah. I remember when we were in school, and I don't know if you were there, but somebody sat on their palette, and it was a like Pepe Le Pew, the skunk
Oh,
cartoon character, and it was like they just had a streak of white, like straight up the back.
I missed it. I wasn't there for that. That's so funny. Yeah, like this is my palette right now. It's a disaster, but
Okay, that's a gorgeous disaster. That's
isn't it?
beautiful. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm loving getting these really nice gradients. You know, like
I love that because you can see your entire sunset right there. It's all right
yeah,
there.
it's been
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I tell my students to keep your palette organized. I don't know if they listen, but whenever I know when my painting is going off course, when my palette is just like insane.
yeah,
And just scrape, 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 scrape. Clean it up.
yeah. I've had some experiences where it's like I've tried to I've tried to like everything, like the glass palette, the paper palette, and like paper palettes. I don't know. I say I'll never do again just because they're so frustrating, but I mean they can be convenient. What's something you'll never do again with your process, or
Oh,
even like
Jesus. All
what?
right, well, you know, another thing that I hate, which I'll never use again, permalba.
Oh yeah, I should have seen that one coming. Yeah, from Alba. That's a very for those of you that don't know, it's a very liquidy white. How would you describe it, Grace?
I don't feel like I can describe it without being inappropriate.
Yeah.
Um, but
Do
it's
it.
like a very oily white paint. And I think it's like a zinc, isn't it?
I used to love it. I used to love Permalba because the white that I was using was just like it would come out and it would just be like oil or like a solid tube like that you'd have to like mix with the oil to get any kind of movement. Um, yeah, and
Yeah.
since then I've discovered the joys of lead white and even like mixing lead white in like titanium or something has been good. I think
Mm-hmm.
you're the one who told me that.
Yeah,
Just
I do
a
that.
little thing.
Yeah. I saw that question, and actually, what I was going to say is that one thing that I really don't like doing, but I'm sure that I will do it again, is just
But
painting man-made or mechanical objects that are like really detailed.
yeah,
And yeah, like when I painted the wheelchair painting, that was torture. And I was like, I want to do this, you know? Like I got the wheelchair and I like had it in front of me and I just like was like, okay, time to figure out perspective.
yeah,
With multiple ellipses. Um, it was insane. And I think I lost my mind and I hope to never do that again.
it can be really difficult. I can commiserate. Like I've had a few commissions. Like I know your truck commission that you just did. You know, I've
Mm-hmm.
had a few trucks and tractors and stuff like that I've painted where I'm just like, all right. A story that comes to mind is like this astronaut. I remember hearing the story of this astronaut that was like in the space station, and there was this pinging noise that was like ping, ping, and he's like, I would go insane if I didn't learn to love that noise. And I was like, oh. And so when I'm, hello, Kaylee. So when I'm painting like something that I really don't like, I don't know, a truck or something like that, you just have to kind of like convince yourself to love it. Like, oh, look at this patina on this old tractor. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
state
I
of,
mean, I think it's nice when that's why doing something that's narrative or has meaning behind it is just the best. And it gets you through. Because, you know, none of us want to do commissions. We always just want to do our own work all the time, you know?
yeah. I
And
mean,
I
it'll,
wanted to grow up to be an artist so I could just like do whatever I wanted. um, but it's so meaningful. I mean, this one in particular, which I can't show you because they haven't even seen it yet. But
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask,
yeah,
like,
I literally,
okay,
because I just think I just finished it today, so I'm gonna
well,
send them a picture. Yeah,
good job on finishing it
yeah,
today. Great.
but no, it's just like so much easier. And actually, Sergey was reminding me because in the middle of the painting, and I feel like in the middle of every painting, I just like reach this point where I'm like, shit, this is the worst.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't even know how I'm gonna get through this. You know, just technically, it's like solving the problems. Um, and because what we do, I feel like is so um, you know, you have to work really hard to get that level of detail, you know? And so the middle part of the painting is kind of painful, but like I've come to just know that. And so I was sort of like, okay, I don't know if I can finish this. Like, and then luckily Sergey reminded me, you know, what it was all about. So, because it's really
That's,
meaningful, you
yeah.
know, for someone who actually puts up money, you know, to buy our work. It's really like something, you know, that's important to them. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys have any questions for Grace, just type them in and we can answer them. But I think commissions, they are complex and they can be like out of this world crazy, or they can be like really something that you're excited about. I remember early on, I one of my favorite bands in the world, like Roger Klein and Peacemakers, commissioned me to like do a sticker design and then like a t-shirt design. I was so excited for everyone. But then there's commissions that are like, can you paint I don't know, a dragon on a skateboard and this thing? You're like, oh god, like not so jazzed about it.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's just like the
Oh,
painting process. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Allison, that's for you, Grace. Have you ever turned down a commission?
Let's see. Have I ever turned down a commission? Um, yeah, I have. But I can't think of a specific example. I just know that I get asked to do commissions, maybe that end up being like a little expensive for people. And
Yeah.
that's mainly, it's usually because of time or budget that it doesn't happen. So,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
understandable. Yeah.
I don't try to turn it down, you know. So,
What do you have like a routine that you do to get into the studio every day?
ooh, my studio rituals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because now that you're out of, you're not a student, so to
Mhm.
speak, anymore. Like I remember, I would meet you sometimes on the way to Gage, and
Mhm.
you'd have your coffee sometimes, or you know, that
Yeah.
that was a cool little thing. Like your routine of walking to the school and having the coffee. Has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely changed. If you don't have, you know, a structure, things change pretty quickly. I think I'm really glad that I've had this year to adapt a routine. I think we were talking about this just like with the pandemic, you know, if I was still in school and then I had been dropped into the abyss, you know, of like artist life
Yeah.
on your own, it would be very scary. I don't know if I do like any like ritual type stuff, but my ideal routine, I think, is just to do some like very minimal work at home. Um, just like admin stuff for like an hour and kind of
Like
get that out of the way,
like emails. Yeah.
like emails, and like planning the day a little bit, but then to be I'm really bad. I'm like usually in my studio by like 11.
Grace.
Ideally I'm there by like 9:30.
Yeah. What's your
And
ideal? What's your ideal day?
yeah, my ideal day is like to get there by like 9:30. Like 9 to 5, basically like treat it like a job.
Yeah.
Um and like that just like helps me like get into the get into the routine, get into the headspace. But I don't think I do anything like weird when I get there where I have to like touch, this or like do the paint. I will say I need to have my paints ready to go. Like I need to walk in, I like turn on my air filter. I'm in a really old building, so like I can't drink the water. I like fill up the Brita water pitcher, filter the water, filter the air.
So you are already living this COVID
Yeah.
reality before
Yeah,
COVID.
I would just put on my respirator. Uh,
Uh, Jackie
Jackie,
joined.
hi.
She hates it when I say her name.
And
I always
Angie,
call
oh
her
my
Dave.
God. Hey, Angie. Is that my friend? Yeah. Oh my God. All right, my routine.
Yeah.
I feel
Tell
like
us
I
about
really
your.
gotta step up my answers now that Jackie's on.
Hi, babe. It's so good
Anyway,
to see you, though. She's on her walk right now, so she's on her walk like watching you right now.
that's awesome.
I know. Let's hear it, Grace.
Let's hear it. My routine is I just get into the studio and I just like beast mode on my work immediately. So I am not the type of person who has to sit around and like have a coffee and like think about it. Like I feel like the moment when you walk in and you see your painting is the most educational moment of the day. And to me, like I kind of get my lounge time and my like brain back on like before I get to the studio. I like have my coffee, eat breakfast, like I said, do the admin stuff so that when I get there, it's just like, okay, this is my time. And then I usually work till like 5 or 6, and then I get back. And I usually do like another hour of email or, oh, I miss you too, Jackie. Or wait, damn, you two make me miss it. Yeah, I thought Jackie was saying that she missed us and BD, but Allison, get back in it.
And Jackie says,
I'm gonna stop randomly like responding to comments because I obviously can't read them.
"No,
Okay.
It's so genuine. Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
That's so cute. Yeah, so that's like my day, and I think in the evenings, sometimes I'll like take a night off, but I also feel like I spend quite a bit of time at night, doing all the other aspects of what we do, like the more correspondence, prepping classes happens in the evenings a lot.
yeah.
Because I feel like my brain, like around like 7, like my brain kind of gets like,
Because you're teaching online right now, huh? Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So you gotta prep and teach, make curriculum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a question for you.
Struggle with any aspects of learning and how did you overcome? Dude, I struggle all the time. Yeah. Learning.
How do you overcome?
I think, well, it's an interesting way of phrasing the question because I feel like the answer is just to accept. And I had to accept, and I'm still trying to accept that learning is just really hard. And there's basically no secrets. It's just practice. So, like one thing that really I was struggling with recently was this last commission I did, which was a landscape painting.
Yeah.
And I just like hadn't. It's crazy because like some of the most difficult things to paint for me are the most like basic, like the ground, like the dirt. And it's like I can paint a face.
Yeah,
right?
You can paint a figure. From life.
Figure.
Yeah, but
like I'll just like paint the shit out of this figure. But when it comes to like the background and the trees and like all these things, like then that's why landscape painting is so hard because there's just so much information, and I'm just not as practiced at doing those things. So yeah, I mean, the thing that I am struggling with right now is how to abstract things that are very complex. And what I learned, back to the question, is just that basically in struggling to, figure this out and solve this technical problem, um, I ended up coming back to another landscape, a different painting, and it ended up going so much faster because I had struggled so much with the first one. So, like, the first one took me like a month, and this one just took me like 2 weeks. But I looked at a lot of older paintings, like collecting source material, like how do
Yeah.
other people figure this out, studying, from the greats. I was
It's
looking
really
at,
helpful
yeah.
to reference like other art just to look at another painting because
Hmm.
as painters like you can read that language, you can kind of like dissect like, oh, they did this or they simplified that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I totally get it. What painting did you look at? Was it like a
I was looking at Bastien Lepage. We, yeah, I think I mentioned this. I was looking at like the later French naturalist
yeah, yeah,
period. Yeah, like late 1800s when they were all going outside and they started to use a little bit of photography and the texture and the way that they simplify um, all of this crazy foliage and grass and hills in the distance, and I love the light in those paintings, and yeah, it just helped me so much to like really be able to zoom in. I mean, if you can't see it in person, which like obviously right now no one can see anything in person, um but I
yeah.
just like found like really high res images and was like, whoa, let me blow this up. Look at that
That's so
blade of
great.
grass.
It's so great to be able to like learn from those masters. You know, I'm sure every artist has a collection of library of books, in their library just to like look at. I mean, I know I have a library of books that I love combing through just to read. Like you can dissect their paintings and go, "Oh, that's a great idea."
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, you got another question. How do you transition into commissions?
Yeah. Word of mouth, basically. Word of mouth. So right now I'm a year out of school. So like I'm like emerging, whatever term, like I'm beginning at the business side of this. And I think it really helped. I think two things really helped. And they're really just the same thing, which is that I had a network from the school that I went to, but going to the same places all the time, and then secondly, being a teacher and getting my face and my name out that way. I think. I think with
Yeah.
commissions, yeah,
Do you ever
it's.
get any from Instagram or Facebook or whatever?
I have. I've gotten like interest on, yeah, from social media. I haven't completed any of those because I find that the people who are really serious about it right now, they're the ones who have some kind of connection to me. So it's not necessarily like a direct connection, but like a friend of a friend or some kind of acquaintance. Like I got a request from somebody that I went to college with, like, that I haven't seen in 10 years. And that was really cool,
That is
you know.
cool. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to expand, but I think it's just like a question of marketing. I think it's networking, like actually being like showing your face at a lot of different places,
Yeah.
making really good work. Um, And then just like making sure once you get that commission that you fucking do it, you know, and like put your all into it. Because what I've learned is that it is also about customer service, you
Yeah,
know.
for sure. Yeah.
So like I'm always, I mean, Daniel, you kind of turned me on to this part of it, which is like, how do you make the experience of a commission magical at every stage of the painting? So like, you know, I looked into like, gosh, you know, this is a work of art that somebody's putting hundreds, thousands of dollars into. You know, needs to be legit. So
Yeah, because they might pass it down to their kids or
they might
grandchildren
be,
might be fighting over it, years from now. Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think about that. Like, my family has some random paintings of like this old barn, you know, that my grandparents like lived in, and I don't even think anybody knows who did it, but it's just like everyone, you know, loves that painting.
Yeah,
Um,
paintings have a context. It's different than a photo. I think
mhm.
there's a great reverence for painting. There's a definite magic to it. You're taking piles of paint, you're taking
Yeah,
you
I
know
just think about it
pigment,
like,
and you're putting it down, and you're making emotion. You're making poetry. You're really you're doing something that's uniquely human. And sharing it with people.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the first commission that I did and how that got started. Um, I
Are
think it
there?
starts with friends and family. Like it
Yeah.
starts with the people. I think right now it seems like the people who kind of got me started are the ones who they just really care about you, you know, and they
Yeah.
love your work because they love you,
Yeah.
and
And
it's beautiful. Like what
they
we do is beautiful. Um, but so much of buying art, I think, is supporting the artist, and they want to be able to support you as a person. So like
well, it's
it's
investment.
really it's an
Yeah.
investment, and it's an investment in a connection to, you know, a person. Yeah, that was Sergey
Yeah.
in the background.
Yeah, it's an investment in a person. It's not just like, oh, this is a painting that's going to be rich. You're like, no, like I care about this person and they have something special. They have whether it's a talent or a voice or even the way they live their life, and you want to see them do well. I mean, supporting the arts.
Mhm.
Buy some art, people. Those of you watching and stuff. It's important to do that. Buy Grace's art. um, I had some other questions that I wanted to
Yeah.
ask. Like what's the best compliment like you ever received? It doesn't necessarily have to be about your artwork. Maybe it's about teaching or something. Oh,
Mhm.
but before
Yes, Jackie, I work 12 hours a day.
I think she asked that because like I'll work sometimes early in the morning and then take a
I
nap
don't
and
do
then
that.
do like late at night.
Okay, I literally cannot wake up before 7 a.m. Like, and that is a struggle for me.
Do you ever do like 10 p.m. to like 3 a.m. like somebody else, like me? Yeah.
No, I do not. I can be productive painting basically from like 9 to 7, and
Yeah.
that
Do
I
you
get
listen
tired.
to podcasts or audiobooks or music when you're painting?
All of it, all of it.
Cool.
Yeah, but you asked another question.
Yeah.
What was
What's the
that?
biggest compliment like
Oh yeah.
that touched you and you're like, oh, that means a lot?
Hmm. Boy, um,
I agree,
the
Allison.
one, the one compliment that first comes to my mind is, it was a, let's see, it was for the painting of the wheelchair,
Yeah.
um, and it was up at the end of the show at Gage Academy last year. And this younger woman, she came up to me and she was just like, I know this feeling. And she just was like, I can totally see, I don't know, she just like told me that she had been in the hospital and she just saw like herself in the painting, and it was awesome. It was
Wow.
really, really amazing. And I just like, yeah, was like, yes, that's like the best.
Yeah.
So I think, that feeling of just like you really put yourself into a work, and then when somebody else can see some part of you or they're moved in some way, that's absolutely the best thing. That's like why we do what we do, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least for me. It's just basically,
That's
yeah, it's like amazing and it's fun and like sometimes it's hard. But like, color's awesome and it's great to just be able to create things. But to me, it's really just about, can I create something that will stir um, something, an emotion in somebody else?
yeah, that real human connection to
Mhm.
like something where on a level you're communicating without words. You're communicating with emotions that are emanating off this canvas. Grace, do you feel as creative in other geographic locations? Or does Seattle have a special art energy with all the
Huh.
overcast?
I wonder why Jackie's asking that.
Perhaps in Long Beach you might feel creative as well.
Perhaps, perhaps. What I have noticed, interesting that you bring up the overcast weather. I actually get a lot done when it's raining. And
Really?
it's sunny, like today. If it's really nice outside, I don't want to do anything. I just want to be outside,
Now think
you know?
about that. Is it because you're deprived of sunshine all the time that when it shows, like you need to go out and stand in that spotlight of sun that peeks through the clouds in Seattle?
There's this thing called the rain retreat in Buddhism. Okay. So
Explain. I
every
don't.
fall,
Oh, okay.
every fall when the rains come, um, in Tibetan Buddhism, they have a rain retreat where they study and they learn all of the Buddhist texts. And this is what I feel like Seattle creates, is like the longest, most productive Buddhist rain retreat.
Yeah.
However, I do think you have to augment it. You have to have some kind of sun in January or February. You have to have that.
I
So,
don't know. Like,
to answer your question, Jackie, I feel very creative when I have a routine, which is right here in Seattle.
we're not gonna stop trying to convince you to move
I know.
down here. Like even in Santa Fe, like you had some sun, and you were pretty productive there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a sun child also. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think Allison is saying like rain is particularly inspirational coming from the desert.
I think it's just important to have a routine, and for me at least, and to not have distractions. So, yes, I did go to Santa Fe this winter to work with another artist, Anthony Ryder, who is amazing, and I highly recommend hanging out with him. But yeah, New Mexico is so beautiful, and I loved it. I really loved it. I talk about it every day.
I remember Sergey quote coming alive on the beach in the sun. That was a magical moment. Yeah.
I
We just
know.
missed you guys, and we want you guys down here.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too too. I know.
Um.
I am so excited. Can I just say that I don't know if everyone on this Instagram stream is so lucky to get mail from Daniel. But
Aw.
this is like literally the best thing you could ever get in your mailbox. A typewritten, personalized letter from Daniel with a print, a lino cut print of his original artwork. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank
If you're on
you.
this call, I hope you're lucky enough to be friends with him. Just saying.
Yeah. I
Just
love sharing.
bragging. Just
I
bragging.
I love sharing my artwork in the mail. I love I love it. It's like a way to share artwork, but also take part of my time to think about the people in my life. And I told you like how okay, for those of you that don't know, I'll just explain this really short tangent. Like, I was teaching here in LA, and then the classes got canceled, and a lot of my students were older, retired people that I was trying to create lessons for, like online when the coronavirus hit, and they were kind of resistant to that. So what I ended up doing, I made postcards for them all, and I made like miniature lessons on each postcard to them, and I got a bunch of pen pals now that I share art lessons with, and it's been great. It's exhausting, but it's great. Yeah, I like postcards and stuff. I'm a fan of the analog.
Yeah, they're lovely. They're just like so lovely. Gemma and Kathy. Hey, you guys.
Oh, there's a what? Okay, so at push put tati. Wait, I'm ruining my
Anatomy.
name.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They want to learn. What books do you recommend for anatomy?
So, any tips or books? Yeah, anatomy, great thing to spend your time doing, learning about. So, let's see. The best resources that I have found for anatomy are
Posh.
the Elliot Goldfinger book, which is like Human Anatomy for Artists, and that's Elliot Goldfinger, just like Austin Powers. Um,
I've actually
and
never heard of
then
that one. Um,
and there's one that's also written by Uldis Zarins, and it's like Human Anatomy Atlas, I think, or it's like facial expression. I'm gonna type it in the comments. Uldis. Ugh, that's a weird. Okay, Zarins is the last name.
I
And then
think
if
there's a
you
way
can
to
see
like.
right behind my head over here is a skeleton that I made with Mike McGrath at Gage Academy in a
Of
class.
course.
Yep, écorché. Écorché, it means to flay the skin off of a human and show all the muscles and bones underneath. So it's a way you sculpt. So you sculpt an anatomically precise human in uh, like a smaller scale. So that's just super helpful. I think sculpting the forms is one of the best ways also to learn anatomy.
And Gottfried
Yeah.
Bombs.
Yeah,
Like,
Bombs. Yeah, the last name is Bombs, and that book I think is in German, but he has one of the really good anatomy books. Um,
Jack Ham. That's like some old school basic anatomy stuff from the
mhm,
1950s.
mhm. There's
Yeah.
another one, Italian, Strutturo Uomo.
I like how your mouth changed when you said that.
Strutturo. Yeah, because I just like want to be Italian really bad. Okay, Strutturo. Strutturo. Yeah, I'm typing it. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, so there's a ton of resources out there.
Yeah. Sarah Simblett has a really awesome anatomy book that's full of great photos and stuff. There's a ton out there, and of course, Juliet's books. Not necessarily anatomy in particular, but they got a lot of figurative artwork. It'll help you understand. Yeah,
Hmm.
just yeah, Juliet.
Yeah, I think anybody who does sculpture, you know, is
Yeah,
gonna really improve their anatomy and studying the bony land.
just find an anatomy book and like copy it all down in a sketchbook. Like that'll be
Yeah,
fun.
to me, it's like the foundation of everything,
Yeah.
for figurative work. And it's just like so cool to learn, you know. Like if you have any friends who are med students or something.
Do you follow any like medical Instagram?
No, I don't,
No,
but
I
I think
do.
it's you do.
Yeah, I love it. It's like they'll be like, today we're going to talk about the stratoris muscle. It's the longest muscle in the body, and it goes
Yeah.
from this to this. And you're just like, whoa! And they have a cadaver, and they're actually like, showing you. I don't know. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I really
Yeah,
want to do a gross anatomy lab with cadavers. I would love to do that.
like to like go in there and draw, or just to like study. Like,
To draw. Yeah, to
okay,
draw.
yeah, cool. I'm sure you could do that once this Corona stuff goes away.
Yeah, I probably
If
shouldn't
it
do it
goes
right
away.
now.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to type them. Um, let's see, you're teaching right now. I used to teach high school and middle school and workshops and stuff, and I loved like I loved it. But some of the things that stick with me are like the funny moments in class. Have you had any lately?
Gosh, teaching is just like hilarious nonstop.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, like I just like learned so much about communication through teaching.
Yeah.
The funniest things are from kids. Like I teach teens and adults, and I think it's funny to like see the similarities between all of them, but like definitely the youngest group that I've taught is middle school, and they
Okay.
are completely unfiltered. Just totally they say whatever comes to their mind,
Yeah.
and yeah. Um, Speaking of anatomy, one time we were doing this, just like I think we were doing like a quick figure sketch class or something, and I was like
Mhm.
talking about the skeleton, and then this kid is just like, my dad has a skeleton in our attic.
That's great. Did he elaborate?
No,
No, of
nothing.
course not.
There was
Yeah,
like nothing else after that.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, I hope your dad is a scientist or an artist. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So that happened. Um, I don't know. It's just like funny to see what kids draw. Like classes at that age, I'm trying to like, you're kind of teaching them for observational drawing, just like some basic, like try to draw the shape of what you see instead of
Yeah.
what you think you see. But there's always like an imagination element that comes into it, like especially for like 12-year-olds. Most 12-year-olds like are not going to want to sit down and draw an apple perfectly,
Yeah.
from observations. So it's just amazing to see like what comes out of their brains, when they're let loose.
Yeah.
So
Wild
it's
stuff.
it's always like gory. I think I'm most
Really?
surprised by just like,
It's a Seattle thing.
oh yeah, it's because it's so overcast. It's
Yeah.
because of the vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of blood and like spiders. You know, like
Interesting. Definitely.
demons. Like a lot of demons.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely a Seattle thing.
Yeah. But I
Um.
think it's also funny teaching adult classes because, especially when you teach younger people and then you are like, okay, now I'm working with more mature folks.
Oh
But
my
then
God.
they just like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of like fear, like a lot of insecurity and fear comes out. And I feel like my job is to just tell them that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, you
So
become like a counselor. You know, you're not just
yeah.
teaching art skills. You're there so they can have lunch in your classroom when there's no place else to go, you know,
Hmm.
so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm remembering now this crazy older student I had when I was teaching a workshop, and this might explain it, and I'm just connecting the dots now. But she was like, "Oh, cadmium. I used to put this on my lips as a lipstick, you know, back in college, you know." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you shouldn't do that." She's like, "Oh, well, I know that now." And she was
That's
just kind of
crazy.
what?
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, that's why she was so crazy." Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
Remembering that now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And like there's this one time in middle school, like you know, sometimes I'm in the zone on a teaching, and I would have like this schedule where kids come in and they're just like, you know, a little rowdy, but I have attendance to do. I have like kids coming in with notes that I gotta do, and so like there's this process where they all come in and they do their journal while I take care of stuff. And there's this one girl who is pretty quiet most of the time, and she comes up and she's just like holding her hand, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And she's like, Mr. Gonzalez, you know, I cut myself." And I'm like, "Oh," and she removes her hand and like is just like red, and it's all going down her arm, and I was like, "Oh." And I'm thinking like, I don't want a whole bunch of crazy middle schoolers in my classroom to like swarm her and make a big scene of this. So I was just like, "Oh, okay, I need you to go to the sink and wash that off, you know, real calm, you know." But
Like
I'm
it's
like,
paint. It's just paint, right?
yeah, and so I'm like, it looked, you know, I could see it. It looked like a wound, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm thinking like, how the heck did she hurt herself so badly? So I like very quickly get what I was doing taken care of, and very calmly like go over to her by the sink, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How come you haven't washed it off?" She's like, "It's not real. It was like makeup. It was like I don't know. It was like
What the heck, kid?
scar makeup that she did." And she was like, "I'm surprised you didn't scream or anything." And I'm like, "Oh, I grew up on a farm. Like, I've seen bones sticking out of tissue and stuff." But I was like, "That looks really good. Like, you should like think about becoming like special effects artist, like in the movies and stuff." And you know, I don't know where she's at now or what she's doing, but
That's
she's,
amazing.
you know, hopefully doing that.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
just stuff like that where like, you know, that was just one thing in a day that would happen, you know? Like, okay, keep going. Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to share with people that, like, you want to, you know, that I didn't know enough to ask about, you
Oh
know?
my gosh. I don't know. I feel like we just scraped the surface.
I know. We got to do this again. This has been fun.
Yeah. I'm always down. I don't know. Yeah, I think that I'm just excited to talk about art with you.
I know.
So we
It's
should
always fun to catch up. We're going to
yeah.
definitely do this again. Um, for those of people just joining, you can check out Grace's artwork on her Instagram or on her website. Um, and they can even take a class from you, right? Because it's online now, right?
Yeah, that's true. And yep, I am teaching online, and I think that I'm going to probably do a lot of one-on-one stuff right now. So the classes that I'm doing are through Gage Academy in Seattle, but since everything is going online now, I'm probably just going to start opening it up, yeah, for like individual
Private lessons.
private lessons. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are some of the most rewarding things, like as a teacher, that I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I love having a private student where real teaching happens one on one, and you really get to know them and, you know,
Yeah.
explore
Yeah, I
questions.
like to, yeah, like you said, just like dig in
Yeah,
with one person.
very cool. Very
Um,
cool. Any of you have any questions before we wrap this up? Oh, any tips for mixing color? That's a good question.
Ooh, man, that's a big subject.
I know. It's like,
Well, one thing that I would Hmm. There's two approaches, maybe. One approach is to really limit the number of colors that you're using, so you
Keep
can
it
really
simple.
get to know how those pigments function, and how much you can get out of limited pigments. So like right now what I'm teaching for this class currently is the Zorn palette, and it's basically black, yellow, and red. So black, like, is a cool, and you think about black as your blue. It's a very neutral blue, and so you have your primary colors, and you can do a lot with that. And I'm using it to paint flesh, to paint portraits, and I'm really liking it actually. So that's one approach. But the other one, which this reminds me, I need to like write up instructions for this, but actually mixing your own color wheel. Like,
Yeah.
it is so hard. I was trying to do this last week. It is nearly impossible to find a color wheel that you can buy online that's useful, like for
Yeah. There.
artists. Like, it's
There.
impossible.
You have to make your own. I made
You
my own.
have to
Did
make
you?
your own.
Did you see the one I made? Like a sphere, like curriculum
Ooh,
one.
I don't know if I did.
Oh,
But yeah, like you have to
yeah.
make your own because you just can't buy anything that's like remotely helpful. So
And
that's what I would say.
if I could add on to that, I would say get used to using a palette knife. Because a lot of the students I have, they'll try and mix their colors just with a brush,
Hmm.
and it gets muddy really quickly, and it makes a disaster of your palette, and you can never like get a pure color, thick on the canvas or whatever. So just get a palette knife and get used to using it.
Hmm.
Mix a string of colors, like get two colors or whatever, and just start mixing them, and you'll develop like this really good sense of value steps and proportion. Another thing beginners do a lot, they'll be like, oh, I'm going, like, let's say you're mixing black to white, you're mixing just values. Well, what they'll do, like, they'll put up a lot of black and a lot of white, and then they'll just, you know they think it's a lot, but then they'll run out of colors, and by the time you're at the end of the spectrum, you only got like a little bitty bit of paint left. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's really just like understanding the elements of color
and practice, yeah,
and practice. And I think mixing your own color wheel is super useful because then you see, where do these pigments that I buy at the store fit
yeah,
into the spectrum of color? Like, how do I categorize the paint that I already have and like develop a way for organizing my brain around color? But yeah,
Well, we
color,
got
yeah.
we got 1 minute left, so I don't know. That's what it's like counting down right now on Instagram. I didn't know there was a time limit to these things.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, oh dang, 1 minute remaining, like
Oh
one
my
minute and
gosh.
17 seconds.
Would you
But
make it like you buy at the store? You have to buy here in 1 minute. Let me explain.
okay,
You need to buy the most saturated hue, the most saturated paint you can find for each hue, like red, yellow, orange, green, blue, violet. And then those are the outside. And then you need to mix between all the opposites.
yeah,
So that's what you need to do. Because then you're finding out what happens when I mix all the paint together. And you'll find in the center something that resembles a neutral. So,
that was not bad. You did that in like 30 seconds, and
yeah.
yeah,
Yes, all the
well,
cadmiums. Yes,
yeah.
cadmiums. Yeah.
Thank you, Grace, so much. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure. We're gonna do this again, so stay tuned, everybody, and give her a follow. Check out her artwork on her Instagram.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. It's like gone by so quickly. So
I
let's do
know.
it again. Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Seattle to LBC. All
All
right.
right.
Thanks for all your
Bye.
questions, you guys.